And a tip, if you want to make the brownie for your lovers, if you've got multiple, you can cut it up and give it to everyone.
Oh yeah, everyone's a winner. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Cupcake Jemma channel with me, Gemma.
And me, Dane.
Now, word on Crumbs and Doilies Street is that we have just started doing nationwide delivery of brownie boxes, delicious, delectable brownie boxes.
Yes, it's a limited drop each week and they get delivered to you the very next day on Thursdays, and there's 8 different flavours in the box each time. We switch them up every so often, but you'll get things like our infamous cornflake brownie, the birthday brookie, and a new one, a lemon meringue blondie.
That one's really good, you've got to try it. But we are also doing, as well as our regular Thursday drop, we are also doing an extra drop on Valentine's Day. So you've still got time to order your Valentine's gift to yourself or to your special person in your life, but we do sell out because it's a limited drop, so make sure you get in there ASAP. But if you're more of a DIY kind of person, then we thought we'd share one of the Valentine's box recipes with you today, and it is for the chocolate and raspberry brownie.
Yes, it's a delicious, delectable chocolate fudgy brownie injected with tangy raspberry goo, and then it's finished with a chocolate ganache layer and sprinkled with raspberry powder.
It's so, so delicious, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm going to make the brownie bit, but I need you to make my goo.
I can do that.
So I'll see you later.
So the goo is a cross between jam and coulis. It's somewhere in the middle. We like to call it fruit goo. And for that, you're going to need some fruit. You can use frozen or fresh. And here I've got 200 grams of frozen raspberries going straight into a medium saucepan along with 65 grams of caster sugar. Give them a stir to make sure the fruit is all covered in the sugar. I'm just going to get that on a medium heat and cook it for about 10 to 20 minutes until it gets nice and thick and bubbly and glossy. Give it a stir every now and then just to make sure it doesn't catch. Once your goo is done, just pour it into a fine mesh sieve and just pass it through there just to get rid of all the seeds. Because I mean, I feel like smooth goo is better than seeded goo. Or else you may as well just use like seeded jam. But I feel like goo, as Gemma mentioned, is better in this brownie because if you use jam, when it bakes, sometimes it goes like harder and stickier. Goo tends to stay a little bit softer. It's a bit nicer. This is such a small amount, it won't be too hot by the time you finish sieving. So I'm just gonna pop this straight into the fridge to cool down completely for Gemma to use in the brownie. But I didn't want to leave her waiting, so I've got some in a piping bag already ready for her.
Thanks, Dane, you're an angel. Bless his heart. Oh, this is lovely and cold. Right, so brownie time now. With brownies, the first thing you want to do is melt your chocolate and your butter together. I've already done this, so it's just been cooling down for about 10 or 15 minutes. I just did that over a bain-marie. I've got 220 grams of chocolate, I'm using 70%, and 220 grams of butter, and just let that heat away, stirring it occasionally until all the butter and the chocolate have melted together completely. And it's all lovely and smooth and smells amazing. So now it's brownie batter time. Now I always use a balloon whisk and my stand mixer. You can do this by hand, just use a balloon whisk hand thing. So I've got 4 large free range eggs. I'm gonna crack those into my mixing bowl and then add 440 grams of caster sugar and then just get that whisking on quite a high speed for about 2 to 3 minutes. You want it to be really pale and voluminous. Once it's lovely and pale yellow and fluffy, you can add your chocolate and butter mixture. You can do that by hand if you prefer. And while it's doing that, you can sift your dry ingredients together. So I've got 180 grams of plain flour, 60 grams of cocoa powder, half a teaspoon of baking powder and half a teaspoon of salt. And I'm just gonna shuffle that through the sieve until it's all combined and lump-free. Then pop that into the mixing bowl and again on a low speed, just stir that through until the whole lot is almost combined. At which point you can add some chocolate chips. I've got 70 grams of 70% chocolate as well. Just pop that in and just mix it through until they're all really well incorporated. Once it's all lovely and level, it's time to inject this guy with this delicious goo. Now, I've got mine in a piping bag, as you can see. I'm just going to take the top off. And you want to make sure you don't go all the way down to the bottom when you poke it in. What sometimes happens when you do that is it can pull at the bottom and make the bottom of your brownie really soggy, and nobody wants a soggy bottom. Everyone knows that from Bake Off. So I'm going to sort of aim for about halfway and squeeze in a little bit. It should plump up And that's when you'll know you've got a lovely pocket of raspberry goo in there. And when you're satisfied that every single slice is going to have a pocket of goo in it, you can bake this guy at 160 degrees C. We're using a fan-assisted oven as normal. And you want to time it for 40 minutes and check it with a skewer. Stick it right in the middle. If it's really super duper wet, you can add a couple of minutes at a time. And what you're aiming for is an almost clean skewer. And once it's baked, you can leave it to cool and then whack it into the fridge to chill.
The brownie has been chilling out in the fridge, now it's time to make the ganache topping. It's a little bit different to the ones that we usually make with cream. This has got golden syrup and butter in because when we were testing it for the deliveries, it's going all over the country and we need it to be really robust and not kind of like squish in the box because that would not be good for when you receive your brownies. I've got some chocolate here, 70%, I've got 155 grams. And also, just to interrupt this broadcast, I know that this is maybe either the first video you've watched or you watched one before this. And I know that after this video, if this is your first one, you're gonna click and then watch another one. So why don't you do yourself a favor and just like click the subscribe button. It's right underneath here. And then you can get in on the action every single week. Okay. To the chocolate, I'm going to add 20 grams of butter and 70 grams of golden syrup. Then I'm just gonna set that over a bain-marie and get it cooking, melting away those luscious pools of buttery golden syrup chocolate. Just keep stirring it until it's fully melted and lump-free. No need to wait for it to cool, just pour it straight onto your chilled brownie. And then I just like to level it off with a cranked palette knife because I find that if you tip it up, you get these kind of risen edges, and then when you take it out of the tin, it's not completely flat, and you just have to like either get a small knife and go around the edge, or kind of when it's cold, just snap them off. And that's more work. So just take it easy and use a small palette knife. Although the brownie is cold, we need to chill it in the fridge just until it's not quite set, a little bit tacky, so it's still a tiny bit shiny, because we're going to finish it off with some very flavorful dust in a minute. Four bits.
Which one's mine?
Well, one's yours, one's mine, one Nikki's, one is Nikki's, and one is Sam's.
Couldn't forget those guys. Or
Take
could
your
we?
pick. Do you want a corner piece or a
No,
middle
I want
piece?
a middle bit.
Okay, I'm gonna have a corner
I've actually
piece.
accidentally chosen the biggest bit.
Oh, that's okay.
Oh my gosh, here we go.
Okay.
So big. Oh. Oh my goodness, it's so fuzzy.
I know that all the raspberry bits are stuck to my teeth, so
Oh, me
I'm not even
too.
gonna, yeah.
I've got a really tangy back of the tooth.
So good, and those pockets of raspberry goo give the nice tang, and the top is so tangy as well.
Yeah, but it really is, isn't it? That freeze-dried raspberry, if you can get hold of it, 100% do, because it really, I don't know, explodes this flavour.
Gives it a punch, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yum, yum.
So good.
Well, sorry. Don't forget to check out the page on crumbsanddoilies.co.uk. We'll put the link in the description box below, not with this chocolate-covered finger. So check that out. Make sure you get in early for all your Valentine's orders, and I hope you enjoy the new Crumbs and Doilies brownie box if you get hold of one.
Yes, and if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. The button is just down below. And we want to see you make this brownie, of course. And if you do, put it on Instagram, use the hashtag Cupcake Jemma, @Cupcake Jemma and @CrumbsandDoilies so that we can see what you have baked.
We will be back if we've recovered from eating this giant piece of brownie, which might take some time.
Exactly.
But we will be back in a week with another recipe, so we'll see you then. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers. And a tip, if you want to make the brownie for your lovers, if you've got multiple, you can cut it up and give it to everyone.
Oh yeah, everyone's a winner.